Welcome to Scorpio Soul Time. I'm Ronique, and I appreciate you joining me here on my YouTube channel. Every week, or I should say every 2 weeks, the lunation cycles, we come together to talk about tarot and astrology, and I'm really excited to have you here this week, as I find that when I do my daily tarot readings, I always see very much the consistencies between what is going on out in the collective as well as what's going on with myself. And so I love to share what's going to go on, or the energies that are very apparent in our everyday world. So thank you for joining me. So today we're actually going to talk about the full moon in Aries on October 1st, 2020 at 9 degrees of Aries, and that will be at 5:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so October is very interesting because we will actually have 3 lunation cycles in October. October 1st, as I said, is the full moon in Aries. Then on October 18th, we will actually have a new moon in Libra. And then on Halloween, on October 31st, we will have a full moon in Taurus. So we actually have 2 full moons in October, which means it's going to be a very potent month, and also a lot of things are going to be going on in our world. So I just want to show you. It's always a little tricky to make sure you can see this all in the camera. At this full moon in Aries, the sun is sitting here in Libra at 9 degrees of Libra, and then the moon is down here in Aries at 9 degrees. So what makes it a full moon is the sun is sitting 180 degrees across the sky from the moon. And so at this full moon, we're going to have those powerful Libra energies, but we're also going to have the Aries energies. And remember, Aries right now is in Mars, as well as Mars. I just said the moon is in Mars. Okay, let's start that again. So the moon is in Aries, and also the Mars is in Aries. And we have Chiron in Aries. And we don't always talk about Chiron, but Chiron is called the wounded healer. And it basically is a energy of like your inner self. And this could illuminate areas of yourself that need closure or growth. The moon is very closely conjunct, which means next to Chiron in Aries at this time of the full moon. And so if you don't know anything about Chiron, Chiron is a minor planet that orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus. And Chiron is known as the wounded healer because it represents like your deepest strengths and weaknesses. And so at this full moon, we're going to have a lot of energies around strength, things that motivate you, power control. There's the positive and more negative, or I like to call them the higher and lower vibrations of Mars, because we are experiencing a lot of this in the collective, where there's like oppression and more power struggles, if you will. And a lot of this has to also do with this square that is going to be happening to these planets in Capricorn. Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter at this time are very closely squared with Mars. So there's going to be this kind of tension and back and forth between Libra, which is like your balanced relationships and those type of themes, but then it's sitting across the sky from Aries. And so with all those planets in Aries, what's happening is that Aries is that first planet of the zodiac, that first zodiac sign of the zodiac, which is empowerment of ourself. It's a fire sign, so it really likes to get things going. And the thing about Aries, which is also represented by the Emperor in the major arcana, is you're very much wanting control. Aries, just like the Emperor, is this sign of wanting to be able to control the things that you want, being able to go after things. It's your initiative, it's your drive. And I always remember the Aries with the Emperor, because in the Rider-Waite deck, he sits here on his throne with these ram's head. And so I always remember that Emperor is the ruler of Aries in the tarot deck, as well as these rams up here. And so I think that there's like this control factor, which can obviously be in a good way, meaning like Aries has that initiative, that drive, wanting to get things done. But then there can also be a tug of war with Mars, because with this full moon, what's going to happen is that you're going to want to have drive and get things moving and see progress. But with Libra, there's going to be like this need for balance. And so there might be this tug of war that we might not be able to get everything we want. We might not be able to get things moving in a quick pace as we would like. So I think that, you know, at this full moon in Aries, we're really going to have to draw back in ourselves and determine what it is we're trying to go for, what it is that might need to take a pause, because we also have, I was just going to say, we have Mercury literally going retrograde in mid-October, and so it's going to actually retrograde back to Libra later on, but it's going to go into Scorpio and then retrograde back into Libra. And so Mercury in Scorpio is going to mean information, communications that are on a more deep-rooted, hidden level could come out. So we might see more secretive information. If you remember back in 2019, November was right around that Me Too movement, where the women were coming out in Hollywood and all over. So October 22nd through November 21st is Scorpio season. And shout out to all my Scorpios. I am a moon and sun Scorpio, so I have a lot of Scorpio deep rooted in me. So shout out to all my Scorpios. But this is definitely, you know, Scorpio season can be difficult because Scorpio also rules the hidden world, because Pluto and Mars are its ruling planets. And so what happens is that there's this drive, initiative from like deep rooted inside of Scorpios. And so we're all going to witness this. I mean, you don't have to have strong Scorpio in your birth chart to see this come out. So I want us to all think, as we pull a past, present, and future spread today, of what is it that you have wanted to start initiative behind. Oh, and there goes existence. And that actually is the number one of the major arcana. So that is like symbolizing the magician. And I'm actually using, this is a new deck that I have. That's called the Osho Zen deck that I'm going to show you. And so you can see here the Osho Zen Tarot. And it's really interesting deck because it's very beautifully illustrated. But what I also like about it is it does a different take on the tarot. And you can see here it says the transcendental game of Zen. So it really has some interesting ways of interpreting the tarot. So we're going to use that today for our past, present, and future, and then we'll do clarifiers with the Rider-Waite deck. So we just got the Magician, or Existence, as this deck calls the number one major arcana, and I think that's very fitting with our Aries. There goes another one, and look at that, Master. So I think it's really fitting that the Master and Existence just flew out. So I'm actually going to stop right there with those two, because I can already see that the theme here is there's some kind of mastery over our own existence that the universe wants us to really take control of and master at this full moon in Aries. And remember, the Aries is all about the self. It's all about where you begin, where you initiate things, where you have that fire and drive. So I think at this full moon, we're really being asked to like go within ourselves and figure out where is it that we need to master, whether it's maybe different habits in our life. Remember that Libra sun is wanting balance. So where is it in your life that you're not able to master what you've wanted to put initiative behind? And with this existence, I think it's really interesting with this existence, because if you look really closely, you see all the stars, and you can see where it's like this naked woman sitting within this like big leaf, and it's almost like she's like bare to the universe, like she's open, she's ready to just be with the stars, and all of her being is exposed. And so I think that's really interesting, especially like when you think about like coming into this world, like we're just basically like this bare soul ready to like take on and like absorb all of the energies around us. And so I think that, you know, these two cards falling out like that is almost like this symbolism of, and I feel like I see the full moon here too. So I think that's even very symbolic, because you can see it's obviously this wise man who has like mastered his craft, or whatever it is that he has been able to embody over time and all of the years of being able to, you know, do something over and over again until he mastered it. And so I think this full moon is like really illuminating, where is it in your Aries world? You know, where is it that you need to master? You know, have you forgotten like how to just come back to yourself and just be with yourself and master something that, you know, maybe you're trying to master a new hobby, a new sport, a new fitness routine. Oh, and there goes the Three of Swords. So the Three of Swords, usually when it's upright, is meaning like some kind of disappointment. But when it's in reverse, I take that as healing. So there could be something that you are trying to heal from at this full moon in Aries. There may be some kind of information that you need, because swords also represent air. So there could be information at this full moon that comes out that, you know, it was kind of like the culmination point for you to be able to heal from. It'll be interesting how that plays out in our deck. So let's do past, present, and future. It's interesting how the cards talk to you, because it's kind of like the cards today were like, oh no, we don't need to go much further in that deck, because, you know, this is all about yourself. This is all about you mastering your existence. So very interesting. It's like not a lot of shuffling needed. Those cards just came right on out. All right, so in the past, we have the Ten of Cups. We have the Ten of Cups. In the present, we have another 10. We have the 10 of Wands. And in the future, look at that. We have 3 tens. We have the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune. Can I tell you October was going to be powerful? Oh my goodness. So that, I want to pull one more card, because I'm just like, and the Hangman. So we definitely have this energy of being able to see things in a different light, being able to heal from things that could have been very troublesome in the past. Wow. Okay. I don't think I have ever pulled 3 tens ever on camera. So that is pretty powerful as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about these one by one. So in the past, we have the 10 of Cups, which I'm really happy to see, because I think that this year we've all had such a struggle, right? Like never experienced like any of all of this, any of all of this ever. So between the pandemic and, where we've had to re-engineer, that's what I keep hearing in my head. We've had to re-engineer how we live our life. We've all had to figure out how to be happy. In the past, I think that we're all trying to go back to that normal, but the old normal is not going to be the new normal, right? So I think that this 10 of Cups is kind of like this reminder at this full moon in Aries, like, look to the past, think of the things that you used to do, but maybe reimagine it. And I think that's what that Hangman number 12 in reverse is. Usually when it is this direction, when it's upright, sometimes the Hangman could mean that you're stuck, you're not able to move through a situation, you're kind of like stalemate, like you're waiting for a decision, you're waiting on things. But I look at the Hangman in reverse as a really positive sign, because I feel like he's illuminated and he's now looking at things. Like if you were to be hung upside down and then you were flipped upright, you would be able to see things in a different light, in a different way. And so I think that that is what this Hangman is kind of like signifying. And this, I think we are healing from that past this has been a heavy year. And so I feel like this 10 of Cups is kind of saying, remember back to when things were positive and things were good and things were very, we were all in this really positive mode. And I think we can go back there, but in a different way. And I think this Hangman is kind of signifying like you're not going to be able to go back to the old, but you can reimagine it. And especially with this master in existence, it's telling us in this Aries full moon, it's time to like open up to a new way of seeing ourselves, a new way of being able to master old things. And so that's what I look at with that 10 of Cups in the past. And with the 10 of Wands in the present, there is this like you've been carrying this huge burden. And I mean, I think we can all agree that this year has been a burden, right? Like we can feel each one of these wands has been like, oh my gosh, so glad we're finally moving forward. I've been carrying all these wands. Wands signify fire, which also is that Aries Mars energy. So I think in this present time, we're going to have a lot of this still feeling like we're carrying a burden, still feeling like we're trying to move forward. But I think that this Aries energy, it can play out in different ways depending on where Mars falls in your chart. But I think there is this energy of like, okay, if we can just push further, we can figure out how we can take all these wands, close a cycle, and begin anew. And that is what Aries is all about. Aries is that first sign of the zodiac that wants you to initiate something new. And at a full moon, you might get enlightened at this full moon. There might be that Libra balance needing to come into place now that you're healing, now that you are seeing things in a different light. So I do think that there is this fiery, passionate energy of Aries telling you, you know what, you're done with that cycle. Don't keep looking to, the negatives of what is going on. Think back to when things were positive. Because look at here, in the future, we have the 10 Wheel of Fortune. And this to me, I love the Wheel of Fortune because I kind of think of it as like, ooh, what's going to happen next type card. And the thing is, with 3 10s coming out for October for this full moon in Aries, there is definitely this, I just heard the 3 lunation cycles. So it's like we got the 3 10s and we have the 3 lunation cycles in October. So what I'm feeling is like this October is going to bring lots of change. Remember, Wheel of Fortune could mean some things are up and you're surprised and they're like really positive. When it's in the reverse way. I usually say, like, you know, the wheel was up and now it's down, so some negative energies could come in. But what I'm actually feeling with this 10 in the future is like, we do not know what's going to happen. There are going to be very Uranian type themes that come up, like just information that comes out of nowhere, especially with Mercury moving into Scorpio. We're going to see a lot of information, themes of things that are just like, where did that happen? Or why did that just happen? But you're also going to feel, I think there's going to be some really benefic things that come up, because I feel like as you look at these 3 10s, it's almost like that trilogy of like that past, present, and future. It's kind of like all of these different themes of like, things are going to change, but you're healing from those things that have burdened you. You're trying to bring back some kind of balance and look at life in a new way. And there's this mastery of, how do I, you know, prosper in this new way of living? How can I make it so that that past is still in the future, but in a new way? How can I heal from like these burdens that I've been going through, but look at things with this like, you know what, I'm actually excited for the future. And I think that's what this Wheel of Fortune is trying to tell us. Like, it's time to get excited, and there's a renewed sense of like, just because you don't know what's going to happen, if you turn things around and look at them in a new way, you can heal from the past of things that could have been really hurtful, and feeling like, okay, how am I going to prosper? How am I going to move forward? But there's just like this sense of like, all things are going to, we're going to be at peace. You know what I mean? It's going to take some time, but I can feel with those 3 10s, like, leave the past in the past and move forward. Leave the burdens behind and don't keep stressing, because remember, there was a good time, and life is this cycle, right? I think that's what this Wheel of Fortune is also reminding us. Like, just because things were negative and heavy during, you know, the past, we were at a happier time, and we can be at a happier time in the future. And I think that this Wheel of Fortune is really trying to remind you, and this Master and this one, which also symbolizes the Magician, you have the power again to start anew. And I think that that's also what this full moon in Aries is reminding us. Like, yes, there can be some heavy energy, there can be some negative things that come up, but there is also this, it's almost like a magical feeling of like this existence card. Like, I feel like this existence card is like telling you, you have the ability to like make this next cycle in your life what you want it to be. You have all the stars, all the heavens. Like, there is nothing that you cannot put your mind towards that's not going to catapult you into this next season. So I think that this October is going to be really dynamic. I think it's going to be interesting when we have that new moon in Libra on October 18th, and then that full moon in Taurus on Halloween. So I'm going to be really excited to see like, how does this play out in the next lunation cycle. So today was really like very straightforward. There was no like needing clarification. I mean, when you get 3 10s in a row, and then you get the Master and this existence, which are symbolizing like the Magician, and then this healing and seeing things in a new way. I mean, this is probably one of the most straightforward tarot readings I have done in a long time, which I think is really positive for us. I think that, yeah, you know, we're still in bizarro world, as me and my husband keep calling it, but we're going to make it. And it looks like things are actually going to be really positive, because we are heading into a new cycle. You just have to take the time to figure out how to reimagine, reinvent. Remember, we're going into that Mercury retrograde soon, so there is that reimagining, reinventing, renewing sense of doing things again. And you'll probably see themes that will reoccur over these next couple of months. So keep that in mind too. I think that Wheel of Fortune is reminding us, like, This isn't the last time you're going to see some of these themes. You're already being awakened to many of the themes that happened earlier in the year, and now you might get more clues and more information. And I think that's also what these 310s are telling us, is like that 3 energy is like that trilogy of like past, present, and future are going to keep coming up again in this Wheel of Fortune, in this life cycle of ours. So whew, that's exciting. I think that this is a really positive month, and I look forward to hearing from you all how this new moon, or full moon in Aries plays out for you on October 1st. So thanks for joining me here on Scorpio Soul Time. If you haven't subscribed, I would love if you would hit the bell so you will get notifications of when I post new videos. And I would love if you shared this with your friends, your family, on your social networks. If you feel like you were enlightened or got some information that you think would be helpful, I would love if you would share it with your friends. All right, you all, I will see you next time on Scorpio Soul Time, and have a great full moon in Aries. Bye.